All right. I'd like to start out by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Day E Goes Down. And I'm joined with the Elder Kanak.
Shalom.
And pretty much this title came to me when we were watching the apostles and the bishops, live, from Saturday camp or yesterday's camp. And I'm not sure. It was something Elder Apostle was saying, with the bishops. And I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it just brought to mind that title, The Day E Goes Down. There's going to be a big, gigantic celebration. Do you remember the precept I had mentioned earlier?
Isaiah 14.
I know that was one, but there was another.
18.
Yeah, we could start up with Revelation 18 and 20. Because it's going to be a time to celebrate. I'm not sure what movie that was when the Wicked Witch she got killed. They said, "Ding dong, the witch is dead." It's a celebration.
What is that? What, Toto? And
Yeah, it might have been that. Yeah, it might have been the Wizard of Oz. Yeah. But the point is that it's going to be a gigantic celebration when E goes down, and the nations go down. And that's why in the kingdom, after we read that, we could go to the one in Jeremiah 16:14. In the kingdom, it's going to be a celebration. The celebration of this devil's destruction. Just like, the deliverance of the elect of the nation of Israel from America, Babylon the Great, the lake of fire, and also the destruction of our enemies, the modern day Egypt. America, Babylon the Great, spiritually known as Sodom, Egypt, so on and so forth. So go ahead.
this is Revelation 18 and 20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets.
Right, so the scriptures say when this hole goes down, we're supposed to be rejoicing over her. So it's going to be a merriment, a great celebration, a time of cheerful party. It's going to be an extreme time of terror, horror going on out in the world. It's going to be a very scary time, but the elect are going to be praising the Lord even in that frightful, fearful feeling. So it's going to be a great day of celebration, and it's going to be kept forever. So every year around the day that America goes down, it's going to be, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a celebration. It's going to be like the Haman day, when Haman went down. It's going to be another, deliverance from Egypt, but it's going to be far greater than any of those, events.
Yep. It says, for the Most High has avenged you on her.
Mm-hmm.
And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down.
Yeah, thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down, and what?
And shall be found no more at all.
And shall be found no more at all. And that goes hand in hand with Isaiah 34. Basra shall be a desolation, which that Idumea is dealing with America and is dealing with the Edomites. It speaks about the people, and it's pretty much symbolic, of America, Babylon the Great, being destroyed in this great lake of fire brimstone. So it's going to be a gigantic celebration, and it's going to be, happiness. Finally, the Lord said that all tears shall be wiped away from our eyes. We're going to be able to, enjoy life, enjoy, the planet, and the resources and everything how it's supposed to be, in total righteousness. Free from sickness, free from, stress, free from depression, free from worries, free from having to get up and go to work. That's why it says, let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth and the two-edged sword in their hand to execute vengeance upon the heathen. Because that's when it's going to be time for us to be able to live. You know, once again, because we're not living, we're just barely, surviving here. The elder Apostle Gabar always says that.
Yeah, yeah. This is not life. You know, there's no comfort here. You know, and it really don't matter where you're at. If you're Israelite, those curses gonna follow you.
Oh yeah.
You know, so you really can't escape. You know, you might be able to enjoy sin for a season, but it always comes back on you. You know, the Lord always repays you for your deeds.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
It says, "In the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee,
Right. That's all that lousy music that you have here in America.
and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee."
Oh, wait a minute. Then Trump said they were going to bring jobs back to America. You know, none of that craftsmanship, no, type of work, no factories, no nothing. It's going to be going on here in America. You know, nothing, no trade, nothing. There's going to be nothing going on here because it's going to be desolate. It's going to be left as a memorial. You know, and it's going to be left as a memorial. And every year we're going to celebrate the destruction of this place and the deliverance of the elect.
It says, "And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee."
Yeah, and the sound of a millstone meaning grinding, working. You know, you're not going to, like usually at night, well, even now, Esau, all night long, they'll have businesses going, But there was a point where businesses after a certain hour would be shut down. And you wouldn't hear any, grinding of any type until early in the morning when shit just started, getting ready, getting started. So all of that's going to be shut down. There ain't going to be nothing left.
Yeah, because you got the bakers, they'll have to get up early in the morning. Like, you bake bread, you got to be up like 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Because everything's fresh. The butchers, the bakers, you're preparing your store if you have a store. If you have a field with crops that you want to go to the market, you're preparing that in the morning.
Yep.
So that symbolizes the grinding that you will hear, right before the sun comes up.
Yeah.
But that's going to be heard no more at all,
Yep.
in this place.
Yeah, that's it. The fishermen.
Yep.
You got to be out at sea. Coming to the shore, setting up shop to sell to the people. All that shit's gonna be gone. You ain't gonna have nothing going on here. There's not gonna be no hustle, no bustle. And the latest, the latest boxing match or the latest basketball or football or baseball game.
Yeah, because you have with the graveyard shift, right? You have the graveyard shift like in these different storehouses, these grocery stores. You have people that work at night to stock up the grocery store.
Yep.
Before it opens in the morning, right away, 8, 9 o'clock. There's people working tirelessly all through the night. You got truckers driving all through the night, moving goods. People at the docks, taking things out. They work that night shift, So when you wake up in the morning, everything is business as usual.
Yep.
That's not going to be found anymore in Babylon the Great. It's going to be desolate.
That's it. And that's going to be cause for celebration. See, one man's misery is another man's joy. The international bankers, they became joyful off of the misery of the world. So when these devils go down and they're in misery, that's going to be the time for us to rejoice. That's what the Lord said, rejoice over her, thou heavens, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Lord hath avenged you on her. You got to understand the destruction of America is going to stand for the vengeance that the Lord is going to. That's part of the reparations that we're going to get. Those are the beginning stages of the reparation.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. But the Lord got to take this place out by violence because it was established by violence.
Beautiful.
Woe to you who build a town
With
by
blood.
iniquity, or
and with blood.
Yeah, with blood.
Yep.
And the only way to cleanse the land is by the blood of those that shed it.
That's it.
So that's why there's a great sacrifice in this American Basra, which is sheepfold in the Hebrew. Okay, so you're going to be the sacrifice. You're going to be the lambs and the goats and the bullocks All right, the Most High he's going to burn you up.
That's it.
Okay, it says, verse 23, and the light, that's why it says in Isaiah 63 about Yahushai's garment being red.
Right.
You know, that's from that sacrifice that's getting ready to happen in Babylon the Great, symbolic for all the death that's getting ready to happen.
That's it, because, you know, he ain't going to have no blood on his garment. It's just, he's going to be given credit for taking them down, you know, because some individuals out there like, you know, he's going to have blood on the garment from the Edomite and the eye and the lung.
Yeah.
No.
You know,
no entrails, you know, on the hem of the garments and all that shit.
the eyeball and shit.
Yeah.
It says, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth.
Yep.
For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived.
And when you look up that word sorceries in the Greek, it's the word pharmakia, which goes into your drugs, you know, whatever type, well, they're all synthetic, you know, but whether it's prescribed by a doctor or
Street pharmacy.
by a street
know?
by a street pharmacist. That's right.
You know, that's it.
That's
and
it.
You got everybody or it's in your food.
Yeah.
This is why you have the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration.
That's it.
Because foods which have different chemicals in it, which Esau studied and understand, okay, this has niacin, this has this, right? This antioxidant, this lectin, right? And what did he do? He studied it to do what? To turn it against you.
Yeah.
All right, so now he's able to add drugs to it to make it more enticing and more addictive and cut off, neurotransmitters so you can't think straight.
Yep.
Make you depressed so when you eat food, you feel all fucked up.
Yep.
Like you get anxiety, clogs your kidneys up and your liver. You get backed up.
Yeah.
Right? That's part of his sorceries.
Yeah. Disrupting your endocrine system so that your organs cannot, communicate with each other, function properly.
Well, yeah, especially the endocrine system to reduce men's testosterone.
Yeah.
Right? To reduce men's testosterone and then to increase estrogen in men and then to increase testosterone in women.
Right.
And reduce estrogen.
Yep.
So it just messes up your hormone balance.
That's it.
Okay?
That's what this devil does. That's what the Lord said, you are physicians of no value.
And in her was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints and of all that were slain upon the earth.
That's why she's going to be thrown down by violence. And then, in the ancient world, you would get the person or persons that were guilty of that particular crime, try them and then execute them if it was found that they actually did commit those particular murders. But in this case, there's been so many murders and bloodshed that it's impossible to line them all up. So the Lord's going to line them up when he brings the destruction upon America. This great, here it is, when the destruction comes, you're going to have this great body of land, America, Babylon the Great, fully set on fire. And the Apostle John was in the chariot looking down, and he had actually missed America, this big landmass, and he saw like a little river on fire and called, there goes the lake of fire over there. But here it is, this thing was scorching, the whole of America, 3,000 miles across, 2,000 miles, up and down horizontal, but then he happened to miss this, but his hawk eyes, focus over there in the land of Basra, from Basra to Megiddo. He said, the lake of fire right there. Yeah. That little river. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the river. That don't make no sense.
That shit is crazy. And here it is, the land of Israel is going to be on fire. Well, that's going to be a mighty fire too, but not as mighty as America. Mm-hmm. But somehow, the lake of fire was just that one river that just happened to connect from Basra to Megiddo. And that's Armageddon, ladies and gentlemen. That's the lake of fire. Yeah, I know it's a river, but it's like a snake, and, and it's always, what do you say? It's never ending, or always goes into each other.
Some
constantly flowing or some shit. What the fuck does that mean?
Hey, but he's set up as a stumbling block.
Yep.
Because you have a dumb zombie come on a comment board and say, great video. I was edified, you know. Basically setting you up for destruction. And we need that. We need individuals to do that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, because that solidifies prophecy and what the Lord said and how he set up the false prophet to do those very things.
Yes,
and
sir.
to turn away certain individuals from the faith. Because the Most High want to burn you up. You know?
He burned them up. He burned them up. Go ahead.
So, yeah, that was it on that. You want me to...
yeah, go to Jeremiah 16.
Jeremiah 16.
And then we can go to Isaiah 14.
Jeremiah 16.
Watch your step. No, that's nothing.
Yeah, this is...
Don't worry, no worries, though. Take your time.
Jeremiah 16 and 14. And it reads, therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord.
The days come, said the Lord. They're not here yet, but they're coming. Future. This is prophecy. We're about to enter, this time. Like it says that after those days, the Lord will put our laws into our inward part. Meaning after these days when the destruction comes. Because a part of the celebration is also the transformation of our bodies. And the laws being inserted into our inward parts to cement, the second covenant. Fully cement the second covenant. Because the second covenant hasn't been fulfilled yet. So, go ahead.
It says, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
Right, so that's still being spoken about. That's still being celebrated today, Going back to the 50s and today, you still hear about the Passover. You still hear about the deliverance of Egypt. You still hear about Egypt and the Pharaoh and how they put hell on Israel in the land of Egypt and had them as slaves, and beat them down. And every year there's a memorial or commemoration made of that day. But there's going to come a day where this deliverance is going to take place that is going to overshadow that. And to this day, 2025, it's June. Ain't no microchip. June 1st, 2025, right? The hopeful year of our deliverance and the destruction and judgment of Esau. The water. There hasn't been anything that has, outdone the deliverance from Egypt. So obviously this hasn't happened yet. All right, so go ahead.
It says, but the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north. Right,
from the land of the north. So what land is that? Because Assyria was in the north. Babylon was in the north. The Medo-Persian Empire was north of us. And we were delivered out of all those captivities. Rome was north of us.
Yeah.
We were delivered, Greece, we were delivered from all them different captivities. Right? So why isn't there a commemoration of a particular day where, it's pronounced today that it's a day that outshines the day of the deliverance from Egypt? Why is that? Because it hasn't happened yet. And this north is talking about here in North America. That's why the main focus of the teaching, the main focus of this gospel being taught and the gathering of the elect is going to happen mainly here in America. It's the reason why it started in America. America was the beginning of the life of the elect through the knowledge that we have, and it's also the beginning or the ending of America, which is that eighth head in the book of Revelation 17, which is set up for destruction, goes into perdition.
Yep, it says, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them, we go straight, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers.
Right, and that's when the Lord going to bring us back. And there's many scriptures that say that the Lord is going to bring us back to that land. That we're not going to go there on our own. So brothers that are there right now, shouldn't really be there. They shouldn't be there, period. Because that land is going to be destroyed. And if you're there when the missiles drop and Yahushua comes back, you're gonna be caught up in there. You know, at least the Yahweh Bashem shall have mercy on you and deliver you from that area. That's the only way, you know, that you'll be able to be delivered out of that situation. Because the main deliverance is coming from America. There's nothing in the scriptures that tells us to go back to the land of Israel, you know, and set up shop over there to tell these devils that that's our land. They're not going to listen to you. Ben Ami tried that already back in the 60s. There's a great community of Israelites down in Dimona, Israel, you know, and they gave him some type of recognition, but what they give him? They give him some land down in the desert, way down in the south, I believe, because, you know, there's a nuclear silos in that area, you know. You want to say something?
Yeah, no, they gave him land where there's nuclear silos, you know. So say a nation attacks Israel, one of the first places they're going to attack is those nuclear silos.
That's it.
You know, where Jake is not supposed to be. The children of Israel was supposed to be delivered from the land of the north.
That's it.
The bulk of the deliverance. Now there is going to be where the Lord is going to deliver the elect throughout the four corners of the earth as well.
Yep.
But the main focus is Babylon the Great. That's where the greatest destruction and the greatest deliverance is going to take place.
That's it.
All right.
And that's scripture.
Yeah, so that's done there.
Okay, so let's go to Isaiah 14. You can start at 1. The main point is a little further down. You know, because this is, you know, the day E goes down is going to be a cause for celebration. You know, there's going to be bottles that's going to be popped in that day.
Yeah. The whole earth is going to actually celebrate during that time, outside of Esau.
Yep.
You know?
And Yahushua, that's his crowning moment. You know, remember he said, you know, I will not drink the fruit of the vine till I drink it with you new in my Father's kingdom. You know, and that's going to be, you know, I don't know what that yayun's going to taste like, but you know, it's going to be some good stuff. You know, we pray that, you know, we found worthy, you know, to make it and to be partaker of that. You know, that's the lamb, the marriage supper of the lamb. You know, where he's going to actually give us, you know, if we're part of the elect, he's going to give us that yayun. He's going to give us this meal. And then I remember years ago, I haven't heard the pastor say it in a while, but years ago, he used to always say, you know, man, I can't wait for the kingdom so we can have a real meal. You know, and he used to say that a lot. And it's true. So that first meal that Yahushua is going to give us, that's going to be the first real meal that we've ever really ate. You know, we really haven't eaten no real food here. Even, I'm sorry, no, you got it.
No, I'm just going to just add to what you were saying. Everything's defiled, you know, that's all.
Yeah, good.
No, everything's defiled, man. Which, and also shows you that the body that we're going to receive is going to be extraterrestrial. Because spirits, angels don't eat food.
Right.
You know, they don't drink, they don't eat, they don't marry. We're going to have bodies. We're going to be angels in bodies that are going to be able to do the physical things on the earth.
That's it.
You know.
Matter of fact, as you said that, no, go ahead, finish.
No, that was it.
Go to Isaiah 60, and I think it starts at 20. You know, it should say like, and that people shall be all righteous, and then it goes into, because unlike, you know, other groups out there like the IUIC, they're teaching that you have certain Israelites that if they don't repent on this side, they're gonna burn in hell forever. Straight up bullshit. The scriptures don't endorse that.
That's it. Isaiah 16:20. Thy sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself.
That means the understanding, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You know, here in this society, you know, Yahushua said the best. The spirit is like the wind. You don't know where it's going. You don't know where it's coming from. You know, everything's going to be sure. We're not going to have a day of we don't know what to do, lack of wisdom. Now, there's always going to be knowledge, wisdom, and understanding abounding. Constantly.
Even in the kingdom.
Yep.
Knowledge, wisdom, understanding is going to abound.
Yep.
For eternity, which just like it's like just show you the power of the Lord. How is that even possible?
Yeah.
You know?
Woo.
It says, "For the Lord shall be thy everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended.
That's it.
Yeah, because we have only seen but a little of his works.
That's it.
A very small, and it's big. You know, and things are, wisdom, knowledge is still increasing now.
Yeah.
You know, even amongst, you know, the body. So how much more when the Most High reveals everything?
Yeah. And the Lord said that on his right hand are pleasures evermore. Woo! You know, so that's why the Apostle Paul reiterated what Isaiah said, I have not seen neither ear heard the things which the Lord has prepared for them that love him. You know, so it's going to be magnificent. You know, we've been given an insight into it, but even we don't know the fullness. Go ahead.
It says, thy people also shall be all righteous.
Thy people also shall be all righteous. So how is it that if the Lord is going to make all of the people righteous, all the Israelites righteous, how the hell are you going to say that Israelites are going to be burning in hell if they don't repent on this side? When the Lord already set them up not to repent. The Lord already appointed them to that. So how are you going to tell the Most High what He's going to do in the kingdom of heaven?
That's Roman Catholic dogma.
Yep.
You know, so why is he teaching Roman Catholic dogma when he didn't teach that before?
Nah.
You know, so what's going on?
Yep.
All right, which we believe that Bishop Nathaniel has sold out.
Oh yeah.
He has taken a bag, and he has perverted the doctrine. Okay.
Yep, and the very evidence of that is that he doesn't push the name. You know, he puts an ambiguous thought when it comes to the name. He makes it cloudy.
Yeah.
Like he'll mention it, but he'll mention it kind of in a joke way, and then the majority of his minions, his sycophants, you know, they fight tooth and nail against that name. I mean, they fight against that name like they were fighting against an enemy. You know? And that's how you know that them guys, you know, a lot of them guys are not Yahushais. No way in hell would you fight that hard against the name of the Lord if you were really a man of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai.
It says, thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever.
Yep. Go ahead.
It says, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified.
Go ahead. One more. So should be another verse.
Yep. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in its time.
Because like the elder said, we're going to have extraterrestrial bodies. We're going to be able to eat. We're going to, multiply. You know, we're going to have, plenty of women. You know, and plenty of sex in the kingdom, plenty of children. That's why I said one shall become 1,000. And a small one, a strong nation. How is that going to happen? You know, like these clowns at the IUIC talking about you could only have one woman. Can you imagine one woman trying to bring a whole nation out? You know, she'd be war the fuck. She'd dead. She'd be dead.
Yeah.
You know, she'll have to be a baby making. She'll have to have 10 babies at a time. At the same time, every time you pop her, 10 babies pop out. You know, in the record time.
That's a demonic doctrine.
Yeah.
You know, well, that stays in line with the Roman Catholic dogma. Yep. Is the one woman, and really the one woman, you worship that woman. You know, so they're in unison with Roman Catholicism. They're in unison with the Nation of Islam. Yep. You know, they're a Israelite group with a twist. Yeah. With the Christian, they're really a Christian group with an Israelite twist.
There you go.
You know,
and then you have the Western mentality, which is you could only have one woman. You know, that's all Western, Westernized thinking. You know, that's all feminism. Prop up these fucking hoes and make them more special than what they really are. Make them more more relevant than what they really are. When in essence they're servants, but they have their purpose. You know, and the purpose of a woman is beautiful. You know, everyone can't bear children. Everyone can't take care of children. Everyone can't sew. Everyone can't cook. You know, these are things that the Lord bestowed upon a woman. Just like he bestowed upon a man the ability to hunt, or the ability to be a husbandman. You know, or the ability to be the strong one of the family, the protector.
That's it.
You know?
That's it. Yeah, the woman has she has her own glory that the Most High gave to her. You know, the apostle saying, bear children. You know, that's a beautiful thing. You know,
Yeah.
to be there for her husband. Well, the whole thing is, look, man, this whole world was created for the Israelite man to experience. Okay, and the Israelite woman gonna be there too.
That's right.
You know, but everything's in order. Just like Yahweh Shai, he has to come and get his glory first before any of us can even think about receiving any glory.
That's right.
We didn't get on that cross.
That's right.
We could not bear it. I couldn't bear that. You know, that's an impossible task.
That's it.
You know, so Yahweh Shai is special. You know, he's the author of our faith. So you have to put him. You got to lift Yahweh Shai up. Okay. You can't.
Oh, yeah.
Nate, he's lifting himself up. He's lifting himself up as a king.
Yeah.
And as an authority, just as these other guys like Sakari, the Sakari and ISBK and Genesis. Yep. You know, never do they push Yahweh Shai.
Hey, you know, the scriptures say he that exalted himself shall be abased. But somehow scriptures like that miss these guys. You know?
So I'm done there. Let me go to Isaiah 14 again.
Yep.
At the top, right?
Man, you can start at 3.
3? Okay, yeah. Isaiah 14 and 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrows, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased.
So we're at that stage now where we're telling them that their city is ceasing, that their influence on the world is coming to an end, that their kingdom is numbered, that they're about to be judged. And not only that they're about to be judged, but the reason why they're being judged. And then go into the scriptures and what's the word I'm looking for? Confirm it with the scriptures, showing them, look, you broke this law, that law, this is what you did to the nation of Israel, this is what you did to the people of the world, and this is what's coming to you. You're a murderer. You're a bloodshedder. You know? And the Lord's going to destroy you. You know? And then, we're telling you that, just like these. And we're telling you that the Lord's going to destroy you. So it's not just, the fact that you're going to be destroyed just for any reason. You're going to be destroyed because, it's the judgment of the Lord. These are the prophecies.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I had that word for cease.
Go ahead.
And that word is Shabbat.
Which is
Shabbat.
to rest.
Yep, to rest. To cease, desist, rest. Like a cease and desist order. Stop all business. This is illegal operation.
That's it.
Stop immediately. Okay,
Yep.
That's basically what's going to happen to Babylon the Great. It's going to get stopped immediately.
Yep.
All right, in 1 hour.
That's it.
Babylon. Well, this is the cease and desist order. But of course, he ain't going to follow it. So what happens when they don't follow? Well, the authorities have to come into play. Okay, that's the Yahweh Shai, the mighty ones, the angels. All right, they're gonna destroy this place. All right, right along with the weapons of the Lord's indignation, the missiles.
Yeah, that's one of the Lord's armies, military, his angels. The prophets are the boots on the ground. To give the message, the heralds, and then the angels are going to be the ones that's going to execute the vengeance.
It says,
how we shine the angels.
Here it says to exterminate, destroy.
Exterminate, annihilate. No, go ahead. Inside joke.
To exterminate, destroy, cause to fail. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so pretty much that's what we're telling you, that your influence on the world is matter of fact, get Jeremiah is at 51:7 with heal Babylon, golden cup. It's been a golden cup. You had a great influence on the world through your deception, through your sorceries. But now that influence, the effect of that enchantment is wearing off. That spell is wearing off for the people of the world, the nations of the world. And they're starting to see right through you.
Yeah, that the strongholds are being casted down through the preaching of the word. The veil that's over the whole world is starting to slowly come off.
Yeah.
But starting with the elect first, the veil has been removed. That Esau has been given to the elect, which is that healing ointment for the eyes. You know, like when ancient physicians, when you had issues with the eyes, they'll actually make you a salve. Like even you can put, not medical advice, but there's a remedy where you put castor oil on your eyes to increase vision. Yep, this is Jeremiah 51.
Which pretty much spiritually, that's the oil of the scriptures. You know, the eye salve.
Yep, that's it.
That's that eye salve that helps you to see through the dark.
Well, like Tobit, right? He had the
Yep.
I believe gallbladder.
Well, yeah, the gall from the fish.
The gall from the flesh.
And there's something that his son put together. As soon as he put it in his eyes, it pricked his eyes.
Yeah.
And he said the scales fell off of his eyes.
Yeah.
And he was able to see. That's right.
Well, spiritually, that's what's happening through the preaching of the word.
Yeah.
Once it comes upon the elect.
The scale of thine eyes has been taken off.
Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand.
Yeah, I think we got it. Yep.
Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken.
Right. So you had the world in a hypnotic spell. Right. You had this great influence on the world. So the Lord used you well. You know, you was his cup. Go ahead.
Yep. That made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad.
Right, meaning they're bugged out, but they also pissed off at you.
Yep.
Because they're you know, you said that this is the best wine you're gonna ever have in your life. You know, you're not gonna get no hangover. You're not gonna have any problems. You know, everything. But when you wake up in the morning, you're gonna be good. And then everybody drank it. I said, damn, this is pretty good, you know? And then when they woke up in the morning, everybody had a fucked up hangover.
Yep.
You know?
And some didn't even wake up. Shit.
Damn.
You know, yeah, when you're drinking that wine, it was good. Everybody was partying. See, it's good up. Pour me another glass.
Yep.
You got drunken with that wine.
Yep.
You know, and when you're drunken, you're in your mirth. But as it starts to go through your body and it starts to break down, then it's the test to see what type of wine that was.
Yep.
You know, was it bad wine or was it good wine? Because good wine is actually beneficial for you.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna wake up all with a headache and shit. You all dehydrated and, you know.
Yep.
It's some high level stuff. But see, the nations, they woke up like, oh shit.
Yep.
He's deceived all of us.
That's it.
You know.
Yeah. He slipped a Mickey in your drinks. You know, he slipped that, you know, that date rape drug in your shit.
Damn.
And then when you woke up, all your shit's gone.
Gone.
Through.
It says Babylon.
You've been set up.
Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed.
Yeah, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed because, see, the thing is, this place took a long time to build, but it's gonna go down quickly, suddenly. This is one of the things, you know, when Yahushua said, "I see Satan fall from heaven as from heaven as lightning, falleth," or something like that. That was talking about their military is coming out the sky from their destruction, but also your whole system going down and being brought down, just that quick. It took you hundreds of years, you know, half a century, not half a century, half a millennium plus, and you're still going, building. And in 1 hour, all that shit's gonna be gone.
1 hour.
1 hour.
The scriptures say how the Lord gonna make a speedy riddance of you.
That's it.
Okay, which that's basically the Lord's coming with a shock and awe campaign. He's gonna destroy you. He's gonna annihilate you in 1 hour. It's only gonna take the Lord 1 hour, and He could do it instantly, but the Lord seeing the hour is fit.
Yeah.
You know that was in His mind. That was the perfect time. All right, we're gonna take this nigga out in an hour. You know, because when you see the destruction, you want to kind of sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, you know, it can be quick. The Lord can just evaporate your ass, but He want to hear, you know, the weeping and gnashing of teeth.
There you go.
You know, and you're gonna have certain parts of Babylon that's not gonna be yet hit, but that wall of fire is gonna be coming for their ass.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's gonna be it's gonna be a great scene to witness.
Yep.
That day.
Yeah, the best scene in the movie. You know how, like, when you watch the trailer, sometimes they show you like the best parts of the movie. They draw you to come see it.
Yeah.
Well, the Lord's saving the best part of the movie for the end. And that's going to be the hottest scene ever.
So is the end of it better as the end of a thing than the beginning, right?
There you go. There you go.
You know, so the Lord, he say the best for last.
That's it.
Okay. It says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed.
Yeah, so it should be, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say a balm is a healing agent.
Yep.
You know, you have an ache or a pain or some type of ulcer or, you know, an itch, a bump. You put a balm on it.
Yeah.
Or even a broken leg, you'll put a balm. You put like a comfrey balm, you know, and you'll put it on there. They call that that herb also known as knit bone root.
Knit bone.
Where you'll put that balm on it and it'll actually bring the bone back again.
Yep.
You know?
And this ain't medical advice. We're not doctors. We're just sharing information.
That's it. That's it.
And tying it into the scriptures.
So a balm is a healing agent.
That's it.
We would have healed Babylon, but Babylon is not healed.
So how could they heal it? It has to be something economic and something political. You know? But you can't. There's nothing you could do. Because, you know, you could lie to the world all you want. But the judgment and the prophecy has already been written. So there's no way of escaping it.
Yeah, and also militarily, because how did Babylon establish power?
Yep.
You were able to enjoy Babylon the Great, enjoy the dollar being the world's reserve currency, enjoy cheap goods because of Babylon's military power and their influence on the other nations.
That's it.
Now that is waning. Right, wake up the mighty man. Let all the men of war draw near. Right, let the weak say I am strong.
Yep.
So they don't have that military might. Which after they come with the military, then they come with the political and the financial.
Yep.
Because now they control everything, but Babylon doesn't have that control anymore.
No, sir.
They're losing wars. They got kicked out of Afghanistan. They lost Vietnam.
Yep.
Okay. They don't have a foothold in China like they used to. Okay, they're getting ready to lose Taiwan. All right.
And the mighty men of Babylon have born to fight, you know, because this military, you know, as great technology as they have, the men in the military, for the most part, are a bunch of pussies and shit, you know, because, you know, the soft living of America, you know, the moist, you know, liberal bullshit that they push here, you know, to where men are not, you know, I mean, you still have, you know, Rangers and different other men in the Marines and stuff that, you know, you still have the hardcore, you know, vets and stuff, or the hardcore mighty men. But for the most part, the men of America are a bunch of wussies. You know, they're not built for war. They only go to the military not because they want to protect their country, but because they want to get some type of benefit. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yep.
And then that's why them bitches that go there, well, I didn't sign up for this to go to war. And so what's the first thing they do? Get pregnant. You know?
These bitches, man.
Yeah, because it's all about a free ride. America is nothing but a free ride. There's no real patriotism here anymore. That patriotism spirit is dead. It's dying out. It's very few in between individuals that still have that patriotic spirit, you know, to ride with America, you know.
Yep. And now in this day and age, they attack that patriotic spirit.
Yep.
And call it white supremacy.
Yeah.
Because it is.
It is.
Ultimately, that patriotic, it is white supremacy.
That's
you
it.
know? Which we're gonna have Israelite supremacy, and there ain't gonna be nothing wrong with it. And we gonna throw it in your face every single day. Every moment you're gonna understand it's Israelite supremacy, okay?
That's it.
It says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into her own country, into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies.
Yeah, so the Lord is about to judge you. And some of these nations that are in cahoots with you, they're gonna go back to their country. So let's go back to Isaiah 14.
Isaiah 14 and 5. It says, the Lord has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers.
Right, so your staff, meaning your power, your rulership, Remember, every bad. You know, the power that was given to you is being stripped from you. We're going straight up. We're going that. You know, that power is being stripped from you. You know, you had that rule. You know, because the Lord put you in power. Promotion coming neither from the east nor from the west nor from the south, but the Most High is a judge. He takes down one and sets up another. So you were set up for a certain period of time, but now it's time for your rulership to end. Go ahead.
Yep. It says, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth.
Right, and none hinders. You know, everyone that you persecuted, after a while, they're not going to be affected by it anymore. This is why you can't just roll up in different nations like you used to and just take over what you want. Because these nations have backings of other stronger militaries, stronger nations. They have missiles. You know, they have a defense system to where they can, you know, fight against you. So you just can't roll up on these different nations like you used to and take their goods.
The whole earth is at rest.
The whole earth is at rest. That's the time to rejoice. So the day that E goes down, the whole earth is going to be at rest.
And it's quiet.
Yep.
They break forth into singing.
Right. Why? Because finally this devil has finally gone down. You know, finally the devil is in subjugation. You know, no more, you know, oppressive legislation, no more oppressive, you know, system. Once you go down, it's over. There's nothing else left, you know, in the world to keep you propped up. Go ahead.
It says, yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee.
Yeah, even the trees of the earth are going to be happy, because you know you when you get into something, you destroy it till there's nothing left. So if the Lord don't take you out, that's why Yahweh said, if these days be not shortened, there shall no flesh be left to be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Go ahead.
Yeah. It says, yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee. Yeah. And the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us.
Right, a feller is a tree cutter, one that cuts down trees. You know, you've been cutting down the lungs of the earth, which is out there in the Amazon jungle down in Brazil, in that area down there. And you know, you have the people, the indigenous people that still live there, that's fighting against you. But what are you doing? Murdering them, taking them out, so that you can take over that land. You know, because you think just because you got all this money, you could buy whatever you want. But so they don't want to sell that. But what do? You make it hard for them down there. Set fires. You do underhanded shit to get your hands on what you want.
Yeah, you pay off government leaders to allow you to go in there, allow your companies to go in there and deforest.
Yep.
You know, so now it's built into the law. You know, where they're legally able to go in and take that land.
Yep.
And you'll work on it. You'll work on it. You'll work on it. You'll overthrow governments. You'll do whatever it takes.
Yep.
Put people to death. Shoot the dew. You do whatever you can do. You do whatever it takes, Esau.
That's it. Yeah, you do like the Jezebel and Ahab thing, where you know Ahab wanted a particular vineyard and he couldn't get it because the dude wouldn't sell it to him. And what did his wife do? I believe she had him put to death.
Yep.
And then he went over there and took over it. That's what you devils do.
Yep. It says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It's
right, because you're going down into that hellified state, to that pit.
Yep. It says, we can make a left.
Left, yeah.
Yep. It says, it stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised
right.
Up.
The chief ones are dealing with the nations, because they're gonna get tired of your shit. They're gonna come against you. You know, those that are confederate with you are gonna come up against you, and you're gonna be surprised at them. I thought we was boys. Nah, man.
Yep. It says, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their. It says it has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we?
Right. Are you become weak as we? Why? Because we got power over you now. We done made money off of you, and there's nothing that you could do anymore, you know, for us. You know, we got our own military. You know, we're strong now, so we'll deal with you on certain conditions to keep making money, but we don't really need you like that.
Yeah, it says, "Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave."
Meaning your pride is brought down to hell, to the grave, meaning down. Your power is being stripped. Go ahead.
"And the noise of thy vials, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee."
Right, the worm represents corrosion. The corrupt society that you establish is being corroded, even from within.
Yep.
Your infrastructure is falling apart.
The moral decay has corroded.
Yep.
Your infrastructure, like the apostle said, these roads. Yeah, we make a laugh.
God.
These roads, the people's minds.
Yep.
You know, the food is not the same. You know, a burger from back in the 80s is completely different from a burger in 2020, the 2020s, 2025.
Bam.
You know, you know, the water is different.
Yep. The
You know?
air.
Everything is all fucked up and more corroded because of your diabolical ways.
Yep.
Okay. It says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation?"
Right, so the Lord brought you down. Lucifer represents the light bearer, so-called Illuminati. You know, the holders of the light. How are you cut down to the ground? You were so meticulous, you know, in your plans, you know, and setting up this established agenda, world empire, and now, you know, your whole shit is exposed, and you done come down to nothing, because your whole society is going to be taken down, and your demonic ass is thinking that once everything goes down, you're going to build back up. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, their end thought is that their house shall continue forever.
That's it.
And when you go down, it's going to be a cause for a celebration.
It's a celebration.
All right.
It's a celebration, bitches.
"For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven." You can make it laugh. "I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High."
Yeah.
It says, "I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation which resides of the north."
Yeah, because you know you set yourself up, you know, to go up in planes, you know, your satellites, your space stations, you know, all. But you didn't realize that once you did that, that was going to be a part of the Lord bring you down. That's the part of prophecy of the Lord bring you down from that point.
Yeah, it says, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High."
And you trying to be like the Most High. That's why you're trying to change everybody's makeup. You're trying to merge man with machine and all of that. You know, because you're trying to, you know, alter the Most High's creation. You know, but you're only gonna go so far because the Lord gonna take you out.
That's crazy, man. The Lord, He created his perfect enemy.
Yeah.
You know,
Ain't that something?
it says, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
To the sides of the pit.
They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble?"
Yeah, because most people of the world still don't have a clue of who the international bankers are. Because the international bankers, they're not out on the forefront. They don't want to be in the limelight. People that want to be in the limelight and famous and all that, those are small people. The people that's really in control and in charge are always behind the scenes. You see? Unbeknownst to you people out there.
Yep. It says, "They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?"
Right, because you're going to look at these old raggedy old ass devils and be like, damn, these devils are the ones that cause all this ruckus on the earth. Like in the movie Wizard of Oz. When the all that hell that was being put out there, people, you would think it was some great person doing this. When the dog pulled the curtain back, show you an old decrepit old devil, you know, manipulate a small hat, manipulating all this shit behind the scenes, you know, which shows you the power of the Most High to take a base man, a nobody, a nothing, and to be able to do all these things, you know. and be able to have the world in such fright and be so scared. But then when they see who it really is, man, I whoop this devil's ass.
Yep. It says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness,
That's it.
and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of the prisoners, opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house.
Yeah, because the nations are going to go back to their lands. They're going to be established, among themselves, but they're still going to be tributary to us. But they're still going to be okay. Go ahead.
But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch.
Yeah, because you're an abomination. You're the abomination that maketh desolate. You're the abomination of the earth. And you have to be stomped out, and you will be stomped out, but not before you serve your captivity.
And as the raiment of those that are slain, thus through with a sword that go down to the stones of the pit.
Right, when somebody's killed, they don't take those clothes and save them for anything. They get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's just no good. It's all stained with blood, got holes in it, rips. Who the hell would want to wear that to a battle when the person that was wearing that got killed in battle wearing that shit?
A dead body. You gonna wear the clothes of a dead man.
Crazy. It's a little bit more.
Gone. Yep. It says that go down to the stones of the pit as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou
Man, the Most High he gonna fuck you up, Esau. Go ahead.
It says, thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land.
Yeah, because the Lord is going to totally annihilate you. You ain't going to be no graves for you. The ones of you that's here on the soils of America, you're going to be annihilated. You're going to be part of the soils of America. Go ahead.
And slain thy people, the seed of evildoers shall never be renowned.
Yeah, you're never going to have a position to be able to have an influence on the world. People looking at you. When the people look at you in the kingdom, they're going to look at you for the piece of shit that you are. Is this the man?
In disgust.
In disgust.
You're not going to be a renowned individual.
Yep.
Your name, if you will, for lack of better words, it's going to be mud.
That's it.
They're going to look at you and with distaste.
Yep.
And disgust.
That's it.
They're going to abhor you.
Yep.
Like they do with Jake.
Boom! They took the words right out of my mouth. Go ahead.
Like they do with Jake in this society. But even then, in this society, we are still known as great people. In certain elements.
Oh yeah. You got none to contribute. What great achievements what great skill do you have besides murdering, stealing, all that? What outside of that, what do you have? What do you possess that's great?
He can only glory in his sword, which was the blessing that was given to him.
Woo!
So yeah, he did a great job. Well, the Most High, he created everything perfect.
That's it.
So he created the perfect devil.
Perfect devil.
And he's doing the perfect job.
That's it.
Okay. And he's going to have the perfect judgment. Perfect. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Because
you're going to be finished. That's going to be the day you go down. You will never, ever again have another civilization on earth where you establish. And I don't give a damn what IUIC says and Bishop Nathaniel. God is not going to come back and take us down and then set themselves up, and we got to go through this whole shit all over again. What the fuck?
It says, for I will raise up against them, said the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name, and remnant, and son, and nephew, said the Lord.
Because after that 1,000 years, how the fuck is God? Wait a minute. How the fuck is Gog, which are Edomites, how the fuck are they gonna get the kingdom again after 1,000 years, when the Lord said after 1,000 years all the Edomites are gonna be rounded up and burnt?
Make that make sense.
Here it is. Obadiah 1:18 says that once you serve your captivity, because it says it a little above there around the 15th verse, once you serve your captivity, after that you're going to be all rounded up and burnt. Every last one of you gone. And we read it here in Isaiah that there's not going to be any remnant. Any men, nephews, sons, uncles, none of that. So how in the fuck is God going to come back and take the kingdom after 1,000 years, when that's the time period when they're going to be burnt up.
Yeah, when you take the son and the nephew out, that means you destroy the line of the man.
Yep.
So basically, Esau is going to be completely destroyed. He's going to be exterminated.
Yep.
Like we read that, I believe it was what was the word, cease or something like that.
Yep. Cease. Yep. And
Cease.
the golden city cease.
Shabbath.
Yep.
Also means to exterminate.
Yeah.
Okay. It says, I will also make it a possession for the bittern.
Which are the wild beasts, birds, and all of that. That's going to possess America.
And pools of water.
Mm-hmm.
And I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, said the Lord of hosts.
That's that sweeping agent of the missiles. You have anything else?
I'll read this right here. The Lord of hosts has sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And as I have purposed, so shall it stand.
That's it. So the Lord's purpose is what's going to stand. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what bullshit you try to bring out. That old stale ass breakdown of John 3:16 that the Roman Catholic / Christian church has been trying to push, that false breakdown of St. John 3:16, which shows you that they came back full circle, bringing out the same thing that they got crushed on many different times, and that now that they got everything else they tried got smashed down, they're trying to go right back to the beginning. This is what the devil does. It's a circumlocution. They keep speaking in circles. Even if you deny it, they keep speaking in circles until you accept it. That's the devil's way.
That's all hypnotism.
Yep.
Hypnotism is done in circles. So you have the little circle within a
Yep.
circle. You know? And
Repetition.
Now you all bug the fuck out.
Yep.
Yeah. God does everybody.
And that's why some of you Israelite camps out there are falling for that Christian dogma and adding that shit to your teachings, because you sold the fuck out.
That's it. Yep.
You got anything else?
That's it.
So with that, we pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time we say, Shalom.